Greetings from the United States. I am not able to be with you in person because I am hosting the Curby Memorial Wrestling Cup in honor of my late son. It is a dual meet competition between the United States national team and an international all-star team. But we are all with you in spirit. As you view this video on Saturday, Komotini is the center of the world for wrestling science. The Wrestling Symposium, the contribution of science to the development of sport, to the sport of wrestling, is sponsored by the International Network of Wrestling Researchers, the 19th International Conference of Physical Education and Sports Sciences, and the Greek Wrestling Federation. It is truly a first-class effort to have the light of science shine on our great sport and improve it. The quality of the presentations is very high. As the director of the International Network of Wrestling Researchers, I am honored to be asked by Dr. Yanis Barbas to begin the proceedings with a brief welcome and share some thoughts. The people involved with the sports science of wrestling must make sure that our sport scientific base of knowledge is fully employed and utilized. We must be assertive in guiding our athletes and coaches to base their efforts and methods on the most scientifically sound practices. We must also be assertive in seeking that good decisions are made within the sport and are based on good information, the best information. To help implement these ideas, the International Network of Wrestling Researchers was established in 2007. The aims of the International Network of Wrestling Researchers, the INWR, are to facilitate the development of wrestling through international intercultural understanding and cooperation, and to support wrestling-related research and education. Physiology, psychology, biomechanics, training science, and sports medicine are the areas that are most obvious for study, since they contribute directly to improved performance. Sociology, history, philosophy, this includes ethics and values, sports management and administration, and pedagogy concern themselves more with the impact of our sport on society. These areas, while not as important to practicing athletes, have a great deal to contribute to an understanding of the role of wrestling in society. Thus, all of these areas are fertile for research and can add to our sport. We must apply our work to the solution of problems that confront us. Advancing our sport through knowledge is the credo of the INWR. Let's look at it as an example from training science. The need to assess optimum training adaptation, and indeed the need to avoid overtraining, may call for the assessment of a wrestler's current physical state on a particular variable. This can require a standardized test. While scientists can employ similar tests, the exact protocols are not always exactly defined in the literature, and therefore the results may not be comparable. As an example, many researchers use an arm crank to test upper body power, but often various loadings, intervals, and other methodological differences are present. Collaboration and communication, such as your special program on testing of wrestlers led by Dr. Mirzai, can eliminate these problems. Pedagogy offers much to us in the world of wrestling. Understanding how wrestlers learn, as well as the best approaches to be used at different ages by different types of learners, can all be gained from the science of teaching. We must use current best practices in the development of instructional programs for physical education classes. My practical example for this area, while not automatically research, concerns how the teachers and coaches from Turkey have worked with countries in Africa, such as the Sudan, to help develop their wrestling. This type of exchange of specialists between countries with established programs can be a model for all of us to follow. Wrestling must be maintained in the physical education programs for all youth. This means that the preparation programs for physical educators must also include how to teach the sport. While it is easy for even the worst physical educator to organize a game of basketball or soccer, wrestling demands a higher level of technical expertise for safe and satisfying instruction. The emphasis must be on the physical development, games in folk wrestling, and the acquisition of technique. We must prepare sound and interesting instructions and examples for lessons based on modern pedagogy. So wrestling is included in the physical education curriculum. Well-educated and ethical coaches often hold the key as to how the public perceives our sport. They are important role models along with the older successful wrestlers who ultimately attract athletes to our sport. I invite all of you to join the INWR. Membership is open to all persons who have a major academic qualification in a wrestling-related discipline or other related academic disciplines, and who show evidence of interest in wrestling-related sports science research. We will also encourage the registration of student members. We need to identify the pool of interested people from around the world. Our initial goal is to establish at least one contact person in each country that has a national wrestling governing body affiliated with FILA. The newly organized International Journal of Wrestling Science is the official publication of the INWR. It is a peer-reviewed journal for all those professionals working in the field of sports science, and it's issued quarterly. Our first issue was published in February, and we have just been assigned an ISSN number to the U.S. Library of Congress. We have assembled an impressive panel of reviewers. Brian Adams of the United States, Nikos Angelousis of Greece, Mrs. Elpinides of Greece, Ramin Amirasan, Iran, B.J. Anderson, USA, Tibor Barna, Hungary, Michel Calmet, France, Ibrahim Siguglu, Turkey, Eckhard Diesmann, Germany, Milrad Dokmanik, Serbia, Mindaugas Ezerskis, Lithuania, Ioannis Fatouras, Greece, Bernard Feldman, USA, Emerson Francini, Brazil, Jeremy Frank, USA, Bruno Hartmann, Austria, Kunuzari Iwai, Japan, Tomas Tutesis, Greece, Takeshi Kukidomi, Japan, Michel Lafon, France, Maria Megalopoulou, Greece, Robert Opliger, USA, Jonas Paderas, Lithuania, Amir Ramashid Iran, William Sands, USA, Babak Shagdan, Canada, and Alan Utter, USA. When the Curby Cup is completed, I will turn my full attention to the completion of issue number 2, scheduled for publishing in June. I charge you with providing future articles. We have a need for more historical works, as well as sociological studies on the many folk styles of wrestling around the world. We also need more contributions regarding women's wrestling. Technology is helping to shrink the world. We have more collaboration. Just within the past few months, I have shared my annual publication with people around the world. I've obtained books from Dr. Boris Podloveyev from Russia, as well as Dr. Mirzai from Iran. These days, translating has become a little bit easier, and sharing is becoming more common. The expansion and integration of sports into the daily life of modern society has been facilitated in part by advances in sports medicine and sports science. Our understanding of the human body and its need for activity has increased exponentially. The people involved with the sports science of wrestling must make sure that our scientific base of knowledge is fully employed and utilized. We in sports science all must work together to keep wrestling in the spotlight. Conferences such as this beautiful symposium must be repeated in other countries. Our success is growing. We are recognized by FILA. President Martinetti stated, and I quote, "FILA welcomes the International Journal of Wrestling Science as a scholarly work that studies all facets of the world of wrestling, from examining our historical roots to exploring possibilities of high-quality training to providing scientific expertise in presenting solutions to the modern problems we face. This work can help improve international and cultural understanding and must be used to advance the development of our sport in all areas of the world." Sports science research has much to offer, but we must remember that this is not a panacea. We must maintain our humanity in all that we do. The wrestlers we work with are not commodities, something to exploit for glory or profit. In his introduction to our new journal, Jacques Rogue, the IOC president, stated, I quote, "It is vital that the information gathered by the community of wrestling experts will ultimately benefit the athletes. They should always be at the center of our efforts. It is always about protecting their physical and mental health, offering them the best training environment possible, and ensuring their education." Further evidence of our success of the INWR, Dalouet Tulukhanov, FILA Bureau member from Kazakhstan, emailed me last week. He stated he was preparing for June's FILA Bureau meeting where he will be asked to lead the new scientific department. And he asked, I quote, "I kindly ask you and the INWR to share your views and imagination on how we can improve and develop more science in wrestling." The INWR takes a holistic approach in its work. We must take the specialized technical work of researchers and share it in a usable fashion to contribute to our sport. This conference in Komotini must be repeated. Thank you, and I look forward to reading the papers from your work.